Hi, my name is Cindy Rang with the Fabric Patch, and today I'm going to show you very quickly how to make these reusable gift bags. They're fantastic for the environment, way less expensive, no garbage, and super fast when you have gift giving. All you're going to need is some fabric, some sort of a tie material, a bodkin for easy weaving, and just a little bit of time. So let's get started. My daughter and I have owned and operated a busy quilt shop in Washington State for over 20 years. We have a retreat center, an active YouTube channel, and a large pattern line featuring our creations. My two sons work on machines. One daughter-in-law is our videographer and the other is a long-arm quilter. We are a family that love each other, we laugh together, and every once in a while we get some work done. We have a crew that are saints for their efforts at keeping us on track. Thanks for joining us on our wild ride. If you are new to our channel, we put up at least 3 new videos every week. And if you like what you see, you can subscribe. And if you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll be notified every time we put up a new video. You can contact us at info@fabricpatch.net or just go to our website at fabricpatch.net and you'll find all of the supplies we're going to talk about today. So, these are the bags. This particular bag was made with just a fat quarter, and you can kind of see the size. This one back here was done with a ½ yard of fabric, and there is a queen size quilt in there. The other picture that was on the thumbnail, that one was done with a full yard. So when you do this, all you really need is 2 rectangles that are the same size of fabric, whatever that is. This one happens to be a fat quarter that's cut in half, but it doesn't make any difference, whatever leftovers you have. The other thing that I think is kind of nice is that if you're going to make these for family members, you could really kind of color coordinate it a little bit so that you knew whose gift bags were whose and who gave them back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you really quickly how to do this flanged top, which I think is really pretty. And then when you tie your little bow on there, it just makes it look very festive. And again, the only thing that you need is you need something that you're going to use as a tie material. So it might be some organza ribbon, some silk ribbon, it could be some twill tape, it could be cording, whatever you have. Doesn't really matter. It does need to last through that gift giving, but if it's something that you want them to be able to cut off because you're going to tie it super tight, or something that's reusable, those are things you're going to want to consider. The other thing is you're going to need some sort of a bodkin to be able to get the ribbon or the tie material through that little loop that we're making. This is a purple thang, and for those of you who don't have one, you need one of these. This is a heat resistant little stiletto. It also has a little pressing tip on it, and it has the little bodkin so that you can thread your ribbon through there so that you can get it into your slip. The other thing that you might need is you might need some pressing tape, and I'm going to show you when we get to that spot where I would use this. If you don't have this, it's probably not necessary to purchase, but it just makes it a tiny bit easier. The other thing that I'm going to show you is this little guy, and he is called a hem presser. And he's just made out of pressing material so that if you want your hem to be perfect when you're pressing, it's a nice little tool to have. I have cut out the little packaging, so I always kind of keep this with it, and it just is nice for pretty finished edges when you're doing that. Again, not necessary for the project, but something that if you have one, then it's great. For us, we do have some kits that we've packaged, and we do have 2½ yards of fabric in here with some organza, and we also have the printed pattern. If you want to use your own fabric, again, you don't need a whole lot of fabric, and the printed pattern is available as a little download for you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So you start with 2 rectangles that can be any size you want, right sides together. This one happens to be a ½ yard. I've cut off the selvage and I've cut off the fold. I have them laying out here right sides together. You're going to measure down 6 inches and put a pin on both sides. And then I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to back stitch, sew all the way around, come back up and back stitch. All right, now that this has been sewn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the ironing board and I'm going to not only press this seam open, I'm going to press this over 1/4 of an inch on both sides, and I'm also going to press this top down 1/4 of an inch. So I've pressed all of this, but the main thing that's happened here is I've pressed this open, because I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew down, over, and back. And I'm going to do it on this side and also on this side. So you can see that I've sewn this, and I've done the same thing on this side. And so now we're going to just flip this one over, and it really just needs to be about 1/2 inch. And I like this seam tape, and it's just a fusible tape. So all you do is, it's a little bit sticky, and this is 1/2 inch tape. You can also use 1/4 inch if you'd rather, and it's a little bit sticky. And so once you have put this down, then all you have to do is take your iron and press it down. And once you have pressed it down, then you can lift off the paper, and then you have this little sticky tape. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then all we're going to do is take this edge and we're going to bring it down to where we've sewn this. This is going to come down to right there. So we're going to come down here and here. Pin it into place. Pin this one. Do the same thing here. Bring this one down. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sew a 1/4 inch seam here. I'm going to come up 1 inch and sew another one here, and do the same thing. Sew across here, sew 1 inch, and sew across here. Okay, so I've sewn my 1 inch seam, and you can see that with my seam I've back stitched on both of these. I've done it on both sides, back stitched on both of those. So my top is fully done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my box bottom down at the bottom. And so for that, what I've decided to do is 1.5 inch. So I've measured over 1.5, lining up on the seam, 1.5 lining up on the seam. So I've got that 1.5 inch. I'm going to mark it on this side. I'm going to do the same thing over here. 1.5, 1.5, lining up on the seam and on the seam. And then take my scissors . Okay, so I have my box bottom, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to open this up. I'm going to sew this seam across here on both sides, and I'll bring that right back. Okay, so here's my box bottoms. So they look like this. They look like that. So now it's time for me to go ahead and turn it right side out. And now that I've turned it right side out, I can go ahead and press this with an iron. And then it's time to go ahead and put this in. And I generally was measuring approximately a yard. And I need one piece, two pieces. I'm going to take this sky, my little purple thing, and I'm going to thread that, and then I'm going to go in one side, and then I'm going to take this guy, thread him, and this one is at this end, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just tie it for a minute. So this one comes to this end. So I'm going to go through. And that's it. And that's your finished bag. So what you can do is you can of course change this any way you'd like by go ahead and making, all you have to start with is whatever 2 size rectangles. Basically you just need 2 yards of your ribbon or your twill tape, and when you're done you can tie these up, put a nice little bow on them, and you're good to go. And again, this one is a 1/2 yard, this one is a fat 1/4. Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.